Hello, folks. The weather is great.
"147 souls we were. Now we are just scraps of meat on a floating grave. My sun is cold. The captain's wine tasted better than our blood when he cut that rope, didn't it?"
Don't let the madness take you, old man. We've tasted the salt, the shame, and the things we had to do to stay alive. If we die here, the captain's lies are all that remain. The world needs a witness.
Wait, Savigny, look! My eyes are burning from the salt, but there is a speck of white against the blue. Is it the Argus, or is the sea mocking us again? Jean-Charles, get up, climb!
I see it! We are not dead yet! Stand up! Show yourselves! Step on my shoulders! Step on my back if you have to! Climb me like a ladder to reach the light! Wave the cloth! Make them see the ghosts they tried to drown! We are alive!
On June 17th, 1816, the French frigate Medusa departed for Senegal. It was a flagship of a convoy intended to reclaim a colony. But the ship carried a hidden rot. Its captain, Viscount Hugues du Roy de Chaumareix. He was a political appointee who hadn't sailed in 20 years. He ignored the warnings of his crew, and on July 2nd, the ship ran aground on the bank of Arguin, off the coast of Mauritania. The evacuation was a disaster. The elites took the lifeboats. 147 people, soldiers, sailors, and low-ranking workers, were forced onto a makeshift raft, 20 by 7 meters. Initially, the lifeboats towed the raft, but as the raft slowed the important people down, the captain ordered the tow ropes to be cut. Abandoned in the open Atlantic with only a few barrels of wine and some soggy biscuits, the descent into madness began. For 13 days, the raft was a hellscape. By the second night, mutiny broke out. By the fourth, survivors were eating the dead to stay alive. When the brig Argus finally spotted them on July 17th, only 15 men remained. Théodore Géricault was only 27 when he heard the survivors' testimony. He became possessed. He rented a studio opposite a hospital and turned it into a literal morgue. He brought in severed limbs, hands, and even human heads to study the exact color of decaying flesh. He wanted the painting to smell of death. He shaved his head and locked himself away for 8 months. His friend, the future great artist Eugène Delacroix, posed for him. He is the figure lying face down in the center. Delacroix later said that when he saw the finished work, the power of it made him run like a madman all the way home.
C'est magnifique! C'est incroyable!
The emotional intensity and subject matter of The Raft of the Medusa directly inspired Delacroix to produce his own first major, similarly dramatic painting, The Bark of Dante. Géricault even had the survivors help him with every detail needed. Coréard, a geographical engineer, used his technical skills to help Géricault construct a scale model of the raft in the artist's studio. This wasn't just a prop. It was built to the exact specifications of the original 20-meter machine, allowing Géricault to study how the wood sat in the water and how bodies would have been forced to cluster during the 13-day ordeal. Savigny provided the clinical details of their suffering. As a surgeon, he described the biological stages of starvation, the sallow color of skin under constant saltwater exposure, and the precise physical toll of dehydration. This medical accuracy is why the corpses in the foreground look so unsettlingly real. Géricault used Savigny's descriptions to guide his sketches of human remains he brought from the morgue. Both men spent months in Géricault's studio, not just as models, but as script consultants. They recounted the psychological collapse of the crew, including the mutinies and the eventual turn to cannibalism. Their published book, Narrative of a Voyage to Senegal in 1816, became Géricault's primary source, ensuring that every facial expression of despair or madness was rooted in a real survivor's memory. Géricault placed both men in the final painting as a tribute to their fight for justice. Savigny is the figure standing near the mast, looking weary and hollow. Coréard is the man standing just behind him, pointing toward the horizon with a desperate, outstretched arm. Look at the composition. Géricault abandoned the calm, orderly style of neoclassicism. Instead, he built the painting on two competing pyramids. The Pyramid of Despair, on the left, formed by the mast and the dead. It represents the physical pull of the storm and the gravity of death. The Pyramid of Hope, on the right, rising from the corpses to Jean-Charles at the summit. This is the human spirit reaching for salvation. He used chiaroscuro, extreme contrasts of light and shadow, to make the muscles look like they are straining off the canvas. The palette is muddy, yellows, browns, and blacks, designed to create a sense of nausea. In the background, the ship Argus is just a tiny speck on the horizon. It emphasizes how fragile survival truly is. Placing Jean-Charles, a black sailor, at the very peak of the pyramid was a revolutionary political statement. In 1819, during the era of slavery, Géricault made an African man the hero of French art. This visual scream of the abandoned has echoed through time. You see its pyramid of agony in James Cameron's Titanic. You see it on the cover of the Pogues album Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. You even see it in Banksy's murals in Calais, where he used the raft to mirror the modern refugee crisis. It remains the ultimate image of what happens when those in power abandon the vulnerable. When you view a work like the Raft of the Medusa, you realize that art isn't just about beauty, it's a witness to history. Bringing such a piece into a personal space requires a choice in how its story is told. A gold frame honors its origins as an old masterwork, adding a sense of museum-like gravity and historical weight to the room. A sleek black frame, however, shifts the focus. It allows Géricault's dark shadows of the chiaroscuro technique to bleed into the surrounding space, making the struggle of the survivors feel raw and contemporary. We left a link in the description below if you want to give it a try. The Medusa reminds us that when power fails, we only have each other to hold on to. Visit the link in the description to see how this masterpiece looks in different settings. Like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the heart of art. Which character on the raft do you identify with most? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.